Good evening, witches, warlocks, sorcerers, adepts, friends, fans, family, and followers to Season 1, Episode 3 of Cuniculum Obscuritatis, the Obscure Tunnels or Tunnels of Obscurity. I am your host, Frater Crow.
And I am your co-host, Natasha Michelle. Please like, follow, subscribe, share, do all the things on all the streaming platforms. That way you can get it out there to people who may resonate with it, as well as catch up on past episodes.
If you are listening in this evening, you can feel free to chat with us during the show on whatever platform you're tuning in from. Leave a comment. We will see it on our dashboard. We will interact with you. Throw it up on the screen. You can ask us questions. You can give input on the subject matter that we're talking about. But we do ask that you keep it pertaining to the subject matter that we're talking about. This show is going to be a show where we teach you theory and practice the understanding of diabolism or devil worship as a practice and a way of life. And over time, each episode, we will give further illusion or further elucidation on different categories within that realm. So if you have questions about a different topic tonight, we ask that you don't ask it, because over time we will hit that topic. And if you keep an eye out and you follow the page, you'll be able to be there for that episode. So, we'd love to have you guys interacting, so don't hesitate. And tonight we will be talking about the importance of a daily practice. And I want to give you guys some food for thought, if I may. So, oftentimes, and I want to make sure that our dashboard is working tonight, because I had a little bit of technical difficulties before starting this evening. It looks like it is.
We always
okay.
have technical difficulties.
Yeah, after all these years, you think it would be down pat, but it always keeps me on my toes. So, no, we are good to go. Sorry for that. But before we actually jump into tonight's episode, I guess we should probably do what we always do and go into not only our prayer, but also our tenets of the Coterie of Samil. This show is brought to you by the Coterie of Samil Arcana Cult Order and Celestial Oddities Radio. The Coterie is a private cult here in the Pittsburgh region of Pennsylvania, where we do practice diabolism, necromancy, and the left-hand path mysticisms. And we do public rituals as well, lectures, teachings, and many other things. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But we start each episode out with the prayer of the Coterie of Samil, the tenets of the Coterie, and then we'll jump into tonight's topic. So let us begin. In the name of Samael, Cain, and Lilith, we call out to you, O Lord Natasha, our Savior and Father. Let us continue to be unbendable, unbreakable pillars of the eternal infernal black flame, soldiers and emissaries of the black light of divinity. You who is the true God existing in the void place of chaos, before the creation of the cosmos, which gave form to force, bringing only suffering and death. Blanketed with the illusion of what the Claiborne call living, encased in fragile flesh, falling victim to their own debased hungers, the cattle stand in their own prisons singing songs of freedom. The blind bastard sons and daughters bow to the blind bastard God. Let us never be mistaken for their ilk. Let us serve you diligently and with honor. Let our knees not falter, and allow our minds to remain sharp and clear for the battles and wars we shall wage in your name. Life after life we march to your drum, until we have won and all is returned back to silence. We are the beacons of hope, the lighthouses of knowledge. No matter the darkness, our wisdom will shine, for we are the messengers and we are the crows. Our cause will be heard till the ending of time. We are the sons and daughters of darkness. The Nakash Alakar is with us, and we shall not fear.
The following 9 statements are the tenets or the mission of the Coterie. The cult, meaning collective understanding of lost teachings. To honor, praise, and uphold the work of our other God, the Nakash. Number 2, to honor, praise, and know the Qliphothic shape the currents of our own lives. Number 3, the intense and continuous study and practice of diabolism, necromancy, and left-hand path mysticism. Number 4, work completed both in and out of the temple, individually and as a cult, towards a return to Ein and spiritual immortality and nothingness. Number 5, to reside in a physical manifestation, that while it may be incarnated in a prison, it is a prison crafted to our standards and desires. Number 6, to uphold the authority and integrity of one's own moral code while remaining a wolf in a world filled with sheep. Number 7, to openly shine and fan our own black flames, giving the opportunity and inspiration for those so inclined to recognize and feed their own. Number 8, to burn as torches in the darkness so that those worthy may be guided by them, finding their inner strength and embodying what it means to rise to their own power. And number 9, not to obtain or draw in followers, but to encourage mysticism, free thought, dedication, breaking of chains, and questioning everything, including us.
So we thank you for allowing us to do our introduction. You know a little bit more about who we are and what our cult stands for. As we said, we are the collective understanding of lost teachings. We wish to teach a way of reverence for the spirits, to connect, convene, converse, and commune with different spirits of different planes and dimensions in a way that is respectful and stern, in a way that bears fruit, and that is what we have done for quite some time. So thank you. So as I started to say earlier, I want to give you some food for thought. We often see the depictions of witches in the woods, and there can be a lot of reasons for this. It could be because of the witch's misanthropy for humankind, which is the hatred for humankind. Sure, let's go with that. It can also be for the witch hiding away from the public because of the danger that the public poses upon that witch. As we've seen in history, how many times, our kind has been tortured and murdered. We can go with that. We can go with it being a connection back to Earth, because as they are secluded in the forest, they are more close to Mother Nature, the trees, the animals, the spirits. Absolutely. But I also want to look at it from an angle that by being secluded, they are able to practice their daily practice without the distractions of the world, without the distractions of other people, without the distractions of jobs, without the distraction of everything. They are able to focus on a magical life. The witch is often shown in storybooks and movies and you name it, in the lore, as being a practitioner who lives in the depths of the forest, and they're always doing their craft. Because to have a powerful craft, it must become your life. It's not just a part of your life. Your life becomes a magical life. You don't fit your practice into your life. You fit your life into your practice. And day in and day out, you find ways to practice. I never liked, I never accepted, I never respected the person that tells me, I do not have the time to practice like you, or I do not have the time to practice like I wish I could. Because the person saying that is the one who is refusing to sacrifice their own personal time, their own enjoyment, their own comfortabilities, their own laziness, to become something greater than what they are now. Because if you want to become more powerful, you learn ways of streamlining, tightening up everything you do in life. Everything. I'm talking from, waking up in the morning, to brushing your teeth, to going to work, to all of your habits, to taking care of your family. You learn ways to reorganize these things that become more efficient, more potent and accurate. And by being more efficient with all these things and more accurate, you've now shaved off a minute here and a minute there, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Now you're starting to get that window of time that can now be spent in practice. But very much so, you will sacrifice sleep. You will sacrifice comfortability. You will sacrifice your desires and your laziness of being able to say, I'm so tired today, I just really want to sit on the couch and relax. Well, fuck your relaxation, because you don't get it. So you have to say to yourself, where do I make these changes so that I can make these changes? And you have to be able to do that. And that's why I love the iconography or the depiction of the old hag witch in the woods, because she has dedicated her life to her practice. Why in movies, Snow White, any of them, when they, even me and my kids watched, we watched one recently, the red-haired girl, she becomes a bear.
Brave.
So in Brave, she goes into the woods, she sees a witch, she walks in. What's the witch doing? She's spinning her cauldron. They're always at work, because it's not just a piece of their life. Their life is magic. And like I said, other things are fit in. That doesn't mean you neglect the other things. Never would I ask you to neglect your family, your job, your career. But your life becomes magical 24/7. And your family is a part of that magical life. Your career is a part of that magical life. You have to think this way. If you just say, I'm just a regular person, but I practice magic, you will never be anything more than a regular person. But when you become a magical being and live as a magical being, you are a magical being who happens to have a family, who happens to have a career. And that mindset is very important for you guys to understand and adopt, to be able to formulate a personal daily practice and discipline. I can't stress that enough. I want to throw a question up on the screen, and Natasha will take this over in just a moment. If I pull up the captions here, be truthful. How many days a week do you truly practice? And for those out there that are weekend warriors and you're only doing spirituality on the weekends, rituals, meditation, and so forth, I'm not knocking you in any way. That's great that you're spending weekends doing so.
I was just going to say that.
But I push you to be better. I push you to be more. For those that are saying, well, I don't even do weekends. I mean, it's a couple times a month. You're not a practitioner. You're a dabbler at best, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being a dabbler. But I want tonight to be the crossroads. You're standing at the crossroads right now. Do you want to be ordinary? Do you want to be a dabbler? Do you want to be just someone who fiddles around with magic and never really gets much anywhere? Or do you want to be more? And if so, how much more do you want to be? And from that, that'll come with practice and discipline. And I promise you, and I mean this, if you give 2 months of your time to a daily practice, some way, shape, or form, which Natasha's about to speak of, and you put it into effect, and you perfect it over the next 2 months, and you give it every single day for 60 days, in 60 days, you'll look back at yourself that was here tonight and say, holy shit, I have changed so much in 2 months' time. Can you imagine 2 years or 2 decades? But this comes with work. People, for some reason, think that every other aspect of their life needs work and needs discipline. If you want to be an athlete, you use discipline. If you want to be great at your job, you buckle down, you need discipline. If you want to be a great father, great mother, great wife, great husband, you need discipline and you need to do certain things, right? But for some reason, when we get to magic, it's just some fucking magical thing that comes about, like it doesn't need that discipline. And that is ridiculous to me. It is one of the hardest things you will ever do. It is one of the most demanding things you will ever do, but it is one of the most fruitful and giving things that you will ever discover or have as a part or as, a encompassing factor of your life. So please, Natasha's about to talk about daily discipline. She'll tell you a little bit about her daily discipline, and we'll go from there. If you have questions, input, feel free to leave them, but I want you to be truthful to yourself. So many people on the internet sit there and say how fucking avid of a practitioner, how powerful they are. And I guarantee if you could peek inside these people's homes, these people, most of them are not practicing every day. Most of them are only practicing once, maybe twice a week. And practice doesn't have to be anything elaborate. It can be simply meditation. It can be mantras. It can be mudras. It can be visualization and retrospection, sitting and thinking about your day, analyzing your life, what you have done, what you want to do, how do you get there. That is a magical art. It can be invocation and evocation of spirit, sure, but it doesn't have to be. Magic is all encompassing. It's many different areas of your life, but how many of them are you consciously putting in to your daily routine every day sternly, because it's not going to help you. You do 2 days in a row and then you take 2 weeks off. And then I did 3 days, but then I took a week and a half off. That's not discipline. That's not gaining ground. You're getting nowhere. Please, I implore you that if you give yourself 2 months every day, follow the outline that we're giving you, I promise you your practice will take heights that you didn't know you could, and that is only the fucking gravel leading up to the gate of what is possible. Natasha, go ahead and take it.
And I'm laughing for a multitude of reasons. One of them being I've already heard that speech many times, actually, and it worked for me. So there's that. Also, the concept of daily practice gets so convoluted because you'll see a lot of like the videos and the reels and stuff online of these like elaborate altars and elaborate setups and all of these things that these people are then doing an elaborate ritual in front of you, supposedly performing magic publicly. And the thing is, that puts in your head that that's what that is supposed to look like, that is what the daily practice is supposed to look like, or that that's what you should be doing every night. That cannot be farther from the case. And I think that that's really important, that it is about the meditation. It is about the journaling. It is about the just sitting with your spirits if you work with them, and contemplation. So there's that. And then on the concept of the witch in the woods, and that mindset of completely being consumed and making it your entire life. There's a difference between practicing witchcraft and being a witch. And it's something that we go over in our 101 classes a lot, because when anybody can practice witchcraft, you can get the right things and you can sit down and you can do a spell, and then you cannot touch something for another month or 6 months or a year. And then you can come to a point where you feel you need it. And so you go and you do another spell. That's fine. But that's not being a witch. Being a witch is that lifestyle. So I think that's important. Anyway, on to what I'm actually supposed to be talking about, which is the importance of your daily practice. And having a daily routine. So having a daily routine is going to do a multitude of different things for you. It's going to build discipline. Crow used the word discipline many times. It's because it's an important word. An effective practice, a practice that actually is having results and having that connection, is going to require that discipline, not the one-off that you do one Saturday night. The routine itself, routine has the ability to change your patterns. And then that's going to help build a flow to your practice, so that once it's a routine, you're not going back through your book and saying, what was I supposed to do here? What was the words here? It becomes so natural that it's basically as natural as breathing. Routines like meditation, yoga, breathing, breath work, all of that type of stuff is going to help work against any depressed and anxious states. So just on a psychological level alone, having a daily practice that is spiritual in some form, or is reaching to that other level in some way, is really, really helpful for your mental health in general. Having a daily practice helps to regulate your energetic bodies. If you are doing something once a day where you are releasing the built up energy inside of you, shielding against negative energies that may be attached to you, well, cleansing them off and then shielding against future, all of that is really, really healthy on an energetic level. Practicing on a regular basis, even when immediate differences aren't noticeable, like when you're not like, oh my God, now I can see things all of a sudden because I practiced for 2 months. That's not exactly how it works. But even when the immediate differences aren't always noticeable, it can help you reach deeper meditative states. It can help you be more aware of your intuition and understand it. It can amplify psychic skill sets, some that may be natural to you that you didn't even know of before you started attempting, and be more aware of the messages from the universe and the entities in it. So, a million different reasons. If you want to add on to any of your own, or we can go right into a practice, because the thing about, I know our practices, and the practices of those that work with us in the coterie, you're not going to find us accepting excuses very well from people about time. Like Crow said, we are both extremely busy people and we have extremely demanding practices. So if we can find time for the practices that we do, you can find 15 minutes to light a candle and have a few moments of meditation. It's an excuse that I don't take very well in my office. However, that is your decision. It's always your decision. It's always a choice. Can I add anything in there? I need a drink.
I want to throw one thing. I want everybody to ask themselves another question. So a question that I had you ask is, be truthful. How many days a week do you truly practice? But I want to ask yourself another question.
7.
How often are you there for yourself? And what I mean by that is, we live our lives and we might be there for our kids. We might be there for our partner. We might be there for our clients. We might be there for our employer. We might be there for our friends. But when are you there for you? Because if you structure your life that I'm a great guy or I'm a great woman and I'm there for everybody and I'm dependable and I'm accountable and I take care of everyone, everyone's always squared away, I'm fucking rock solid, right? That is amazing, and you should be. But where do you fit you into the picture? And if you say, when you think, and some people don't think about that, and they take that moment right now, and they're thinking about it, and they say,
Absolutely.
wow, I really don't fit me into my day. That is your time. That discipline is your time, because even though it will make you struggle, even though it will be tiring, even though you will be sore and just beat down sometimes, it is also giving you strength and energy. It is also, as Natasha said, combating any type of negative mental illness or psychological hindrances that are coming at you. You're combating them. You don't have those anymore. You can help to push those away. Excuse me. So take that time for yourself. That I find my morning rituals, I want you guys to think of this. Getting up at 4:30 in the morning, right? Who the fuck wants to do that? But you start to learn to love it. You start to learn to say, 4:30 in the morning, everyone in the house is sleeping. The world's sleeping, for all you know, because you're not outside, you're in your temple. It is quiet, it is dark. It's you, your practice, you, your spirits, you, and you. And that during that time, it becomes beautiful. You're still working, you're still sweating, you're still sore, you're still tired, but it doesn't matter, because you're giving yourself that time for you. And by giving yourself time for you, you become better in all those other aspects that you've always been so focused on, but now you feel differently about it. Magic, everybody thinks, is all these different worlds, and it is, but all of those worlds folded into this world. You raise levels of consciousness while still being the same person that your neighbor sees every day and doesn't notice, that your partner sees every day and they don't notice. You raise to different vibrational frequencies, and now the world seems different. It feels different. You change your reality, but just because you change your reality doesn't mean other people see it. You see it. But if you don't give yourself that time, you're never going to see it, because it isn't happening. So how much time do you give you?
Yeah, I think that's incredibly important, especially like from my standpoint on the mental health aspect alone, is to be able to, not only for your practice, but for yourself in general. You can, we'll talk about this, but things like going out and hiking in the woods once a week, or taking time to, go to a little coffee shop by yourself to journal or do writing or whatever. That people look at being alone in this world, in our society, as like a negative thing, when in all honesty, being able to have those moments of aloneness is so paramount to any sort of growth on any level. Even if you're a person that thrives like being around other people and is energized off of that, that is wonderful and you should do that. I'm not that person. But you need to be taking that time for yourself too. So I think you want to talk about these practices, because I will start doing a rundown for you guys. So
Well, I want to throw something into again. I think a big
throw it.
reason people, I think a lot of reason that people want to be around other people all the time. You might be a social butterfly. You might enjoy other people. I find that hard to believe because I don't like human beings, but I still find myself teaching all you guys. The thing is, I think that most people like to be around other people as a way of hiding being around themselves. Because the more you have the
Absolutely.
chitter chatter, the more you have the noise of other people, the less you have to face yourself. And like I said, not only is,
Absolutely.
and it's two different sides, not only how much time are you giving yourself with you, but if you were to give yourself more with you, you go in and you dig into that darkness inside of you. You do that dark night of the soul. You go through that trauma healing. You heal the hatred that you have for yourself so that's not there. So you don't mind facing yourself. You learn to love yourself and enjoy being by yourself. And the more you learn to love you, the less you really need the love of other people. Then that less you want to be around other people. And that's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you don't go out. Doesn't mean you don't have friends. Doesn't mean you don't talk. But now you start to really see that I filled my life with a lot of extra to keep me from having to deal with me. And that's a
Yes.
problem. Whenever you're
Yes.
just filling in things so that you don't have to deal with yourself, that's a problem. Now, before Natasha does this rundown, I want you to understand that we talked last week about holistic principles of your practice, which leads very nicely into this episode. As we said, we are going to build a foundation up on your practice. For experienced practitioners, maybe a lot of this is rudimentary for you and you're saying, I already know this shit. Well, that's great. Maybe you'll pick up some new things, maybe you won't, but down the road we'll give further insight. To someone newer or really trying to establish a practice, just like tonight's episode, we're helping to try to do that. And this week picks up from last week in the regard that your practice, your daily discipline, should include those 4 holistic principles: your physical body, your intellectual body, your spiritual or emotional body, emotional body, and your spiritual body. You should have 4 of them. So what do we mean by that? We mean doing something truly physical. But physical is a lot of different things. It is getting up early because that's a physical thing. Saying, oh, God, I got to get out of bed right now. I'm so tired. That's physical. But no, I'm talking working out, doing something that's pushing your physical vessel. The reading and researching, the remembering and reciting different incantations or prayers off of your mind, not just necessarily from a book. That is pushing your intellectual side. Your emotional side is being able to harness your emotions and direct them into your practice to use it. And then ultimately it is connecting and talking with spirit. And over time, you will learn to do all of those. It'll be scattered and you'll be like, it's good, but it's all fucking messed up. And over time you'll tighten it more and you'll tighten it more. Now you got this thing, but it's not all together tight. It's just kind of packaged. Then you'll learn to tighten it up and tighten it up. And over time, as you get tighter and tighter, you'll add more and then bring it in and tighten it, add more and bring it in and tighten it until you are making it a very magical life. Like I said, it doesn't have to be hours a day. It can be 10 minutes. It can be 20. It can be 30. Start with fucking 10 minutes, folks. If I told you that I do 4 hours of ritual a day, of course you're going to say, fuck that. I don't have time of that. But what I will tell you is it started with 10 minutes. If you can dedicate 10 minutes a day for 60 days, you'll fall in love with it. Eventually, it'll become 15 and 20 and 25 and 30. It will build up, and then you can get to the level where you say, I wake up in the morning early hours and I do that. I go to bed and I do my rituals before bed. At lunchtime, no matter where I am, like a Muslim, I, fucking drop down on my carpet and face east and I do my prayers. Well, yeah, it should be like that. I have 30 or 45 minutes for lunch. I can physically eat in 15. So I have 30 minutes that I can sit and let my mind vegetate. and be a fucking bum, or I can spend that 30 minutes praying and focusing on my spirituality and then go back to work. Because once again, you think that sitting there and vegging out, you think that relaxing and being lazy is doing you justice because you're tired and it's allowing you rest. You don't need rest when you're a machine. And by doing your spiritual side of things, it will make you awake for work. It'll make you feel better. It'll make your day better. That 30 minutes of sitting there doing nothing isn't making your day better. But that 30 minutes of prayer and focus and dedication is. So something to think about.
And I think that it's important to just say, like, when we're going over these daily practices and stuff and what ours are, yes, we are coming at it from a place of diabolism, and that being the spirituality, that being the practice. But all of these base things, just like we said on the episode last week, these are things that you can do even if you're not a practitioner, don't want to be a practitioner. Last week's episode was still great just for life. And for these practices and these steps, this is for any practice. You can adapt what we tell you to fit your practice, especially in these early episodes and these early cases. So I hope that that makes sense. Now, what does my daily practice look like? All right. So I follow the same morning routine that we have the members of the coterie doing. That means that there's a cold shower first thing in the morning, that there is raw food consumed. So I'm not talking like meat or something. I mean, like, you eat something that's from the earth. Like, I like raspberries a lot, so a fruit. I don't think you want to eat a vegetable first thing in the morning, but if you do, have at it. They do Kundalini activation exercises, Toltec exercises, yoga, breath work. All of these different things are set to certain exercises, and as the routine builds, start to change the energetic flow in the body. That is really important. That section there is one of the things that I use to start my daily practice when I took it to a different level. I also do Pilates most every morning, and then I have my prayers for the morning with the Nakash, as well as a meditative time for me. Lay on a nail bed sometimes. That's a new thing. I absolutely love my acupuncture bed. Mostly do that at night, but sometimes in the morning. And then I have another like 30 minutes of Hekate work that are prayers and sharing coffee with Hekate and sitting with her in the morning. It's part of my favorite morning activity. So like Crow was saying, in the afternoon, that means that sometime in the afternoon, usually around like 2 or 3, I'm doing my afternoon prayers for the cult. Weather's going to be warming up, so I want to go on a hike a couple days a week, but right now I'm not doing that. I will sit down and try to do some breath work in the afternoon with the prayers though. And then at nighttime, we again have our coterie prayers, our Nakash prayers. I like to salt cleanse with a bowl of salt. This is one of my favorite ways to release energy. So you have a bowl of salt, and at the end of the day, you can just take all 10 fingers and stick them in that bowl of salt. And I need you to see all of the nasty energy, all of the overwhelming energy, anything bad that you picked up throughout the day, just kind of electrocuting through your fingers into that salt, clearing you out, grounding you. We have the repetition of the Citra Akra and N, and depending on what we're working with for the month. So I have that. And then, of course, the nail bed. Now, that is a regular Monday through Friday. And that usually takes me, 2.5 hours in the morning, hour and a half at night, 30 minutes in the afternoon, something like that. That's regular Monday through Friday. On Friday and Monday nights, I have a different set of work that I do. Spirits that are personal to me right now and giving offering to them. Saturdays If I have any demonic workings to be done, they're completed then. Scrying sessions here as well. And on Saturdays and Sundays, I only do like my nightly work as usual. I don't usually do my morning work. But we were very specific with pacts that were made. So our pact depends on us doing the work, which means 7 days out of the week, we are doing the work. And that was the pact that was made on Devil's Night with us. And that has not only our energy and our, forward motion and desires riding on it, but also that of whom participated in that pact as well. Due to the closeness of many spirits that I work with and the cemetery, I like to try to get to the cemetery at least once a week. I wish I had one super, super close, but it's close enough that I can at least do once a week. Spell work is always done on appropriate days, but that's also something that will fall into a daily practice. Hecate is celebrated on the new dark moon, and Lilith or Babylon is on the full. One of the things I'll say before I finish this up with my daily routine, weekly cleansing baths and a light temple cleansing are pretty important. I can tell you firsthand. Heavier cleanse like once a month, and journaling. When we start going over what you guys should be doing, journaling is a huge thing for me. It's really important. So that's my day/week.
You heard it, guys, and you're going to find a lot of similarities between Natasha and I's practice because we've formulated our practices as such and for the cult. So you'll notice a lot of similarities there. Now, like I said, it has to have a little bit of each thing. Excuse me. My day starts out at 4:30 in the morning. I don't have to be up for work until 7:15. So once again, it's one of those things that I could sleep until 7:15 every day and then get up and get my kids ready and go to work. So when people say they don't have the time, it's one of those things where I consciously made the decision to get up 2 hours and 45 minutes earlier than I have to, which is a lot. Which means that not only are you sacrificing that sleep and sacrificing getting up earlier in the morning and having a longer day, per se, but now to offset that, you now have to go to sleep sooner in the night. You're not staying up till 11 and 11:30 or midnight. You're not a young kid anymore, most of you. So it's time to go to bed earlier. I'm in bed by 10:30 every night. Preferably it would be 10, but life just is what it is. So I'm getting 10 to 4:30, 6 hours of sleep. You got to get your body accustomed, and I'm only speaking for me, to that 6 hours from maybe 7 or 8 hours if you were lucky enough to get that. It depends on your job. It depends on your schedule. And that's the thing, as Natasha said, everyone's schedule in life is different. You fit it to you. I can't tell you the mine's right for you, but it certainly is right for me.
Right.
So my morning starts at 4:30. Now, I do it a little different than my cult. My cult does the ice showers, which in its own way is brutal. You are stepping in front of a pouring down shower head of ice cold water. And it is like, oh shit, it's a jolt. I instead am fortunate enough to have an ice tub. And I go out in the morning and either get in or bust the ice in it. And I drop down into my ice tub to my neck. And I drop into freezing cold, frigid waters. And I sit there for roughly 10 to 15 minutes. When I get out, I dry off. You have the adrenaline cranking you. It's like crank. You just fucking tweaked out at that point. At that point, I go down into my temple. And I begin stretching. And I do a series of stretches from my toes to my ankles to my calves to my arms to my neck to my back to everything in between. I stretch my entire body out. And this stretching includes not only just regular stretching, but it includes yoga. It includes Toltec stretches and shamanistic stretches. It includes breath work. I also have a portion of the morning each morning that I do lifting. So in the morning, I'm focused very on a physical aspect of the ice shower, of the getting up early, of that discipline, but also the lifting, the stretching, the breathing. I'm using my body to its efficiency, which also tempers the mind, because there's so many times 45 minutes in, you're like, I want to go back to bed so fucking bad. I just want to go back to bed. Oh my God, I'm tired and I'm sore. And you just got to smack yourself and say, stop being a pussy, Crow. Stop being a pussy and do what you're supposed to do. And you continue to do it because that's what soldiers do. Doesn't matter how tired you are or sore, you do it. So that is the physical aspect of my morning routine and partially mental. I am constantly studying more and more throughout all day, every day. My reading is insatiable. I am either listening to audiobooks throughout the day, every moment I get. I have 5 free minutes in between something. I throw headphones on and I'm listening to an audiobook or I'm reading a physical book in front of me. And this is all day, every day. I am constantly hungry for more knowledge and understanding. So that is a big part of your daily practice. Like I said, it doesn't always have to be what you think it is. Reading is magical. Ice baths are magical. They're brutal, but they're magical. Lifting can be magical because if you focus, I want my lifters out there to think about this. If you're just lifting, okay, fine. But if you're thinking about yourself getting bigger, if you're thinking about your ideal image of where you're going to be as you're lifting, compare the two, you feel better afterwards and you grow quicker. So it's a real thing because you're magically bringing to fruition what it is you're imagining. Now, I do Hecate rituals 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. This Hecate ritual, so if I run back for you, 4:30 to 5 o'clock, ice baths, eating fresh fruit, raw fruit. 5 o'clock, I start. For an hour, I am doing stretching, lifting, and breathing. At around 6 a.m., I do 40 minutes of Hecatean ritual / meditation. Most of it I am able to do with my eyes closed, and at first it took a long time until you narrow it down. Now I can do the rituals and movements fully with my eyes closed and meditate at the same time that I'm doing the ritual. So if someone was watching it, they would think my eyes are open. They don't need to be at this point. You get to be accustomed to what you're doing. So for 40 to 45 minutes, I am doing these Hecatean rituals, which connects me to spirit and helps balance out my emotions. At around 6:45 to 7:15, I am doing my morning Nakash prayers to the devil. And that is a half an hour of very deep prayers. For lunch, I spend a half an hour doing a rosary prayer where I go through and pray specifically to Samael, specifically to Lilith, specifically to Cain, specifically to Kulmana, specifically to the Nakash as a whole, and go over the 5 mysteries of Satan that is particular and strictly to our cult. I walk my dog during the lunch. You can say, what the hell does that have to do with anything? It's a magical thing. Because 2 things. You're getting out and you're exercising again. You're walking, you're pumping, you're getting blood flowing, you're breathing. It gets you out. It gets you to drop any of the toxicity of the day off while you're doing that walk. And guess what, folks? You can put headphones on and listen to a book while you're doing it. There you go. Still magical. At nighttime, half an hour of Nakash prayers before bed, followed by a half an hour of mantras to the Kapothic spirits that we're working with that month. So when you add it all together, that is 4 hours a day of ritual, prayer, meditation, mantras, breathing, focused. And I'm not counting how much extra is reading, because that's in there, but that's just life. And as Natasha said, Monday nights and Friday nights, we spend about 2 hours plus, working with very particular personal spirits of our own. And then twice a month on Saturdays, I do elaborate rituals to specific demonic spirits. Now, I want to add on to this one additional piece, and I have a couple comments I'll read. Trevor dropped a couple comments here, and we'll pull them up. I was in a Sect of the Horn God meeting the other night, and I won't speak much about the meeting because I am very honorable to the groups that I belong to or I'm associated with, and I don't speak what was spoken of in those meetings. But I will say that one of the members, who is a longer time member, had mentioned about the fact that people all the time say about working with spirits, but they jump so frequently to another spirit. And I do want to say that part of your discipline, and we'll talk more elaborately on this in the future because this is a very important topic, is working with that spirit consistently, devotedly. Correct. So for example, Natasha and I, when we work with a spirit, we work with that spirit day and night. Whether it's drawing sigils and focusing on the sigils, whether it is scrying, whether it is mantras, whether it is incorporating it into other prayers and things that we do, we have our structure that we just painted out for you that we follow constantly. But there's ways then, as you get more efficient at what you do, to then use that spirit in addition on top of that month's workings. And then the next month, another spirit on top of that. The members of our cult don't do a month. We have them right now as being neophytes doing 2 months. That means for 60 days, they work with one spirit only. I don't give a fuck what Goetian spirit or what other spirit out there they read about and they think is fancy and they want to call on. They don't get to. They get to call on the spirit that was assigned to them for particular reasons. And they work 60 days, day and night, on these spirits. The reason that you do that is that forms a discipline for yourself, a discipline with the spirit, and it adds on to your practice. You can't expect to make headway with a spirit if you just decide today that you're going to work with them tomorrow night. You don't have any knowledge of them or not much. You don't have any energy build up. But if you spend a month doing mantras, reading about them, sleeping with their sigil, carrying their sigil on you, talking to them, praying to them, reflecting on them, and then you call them, Jesus Christ, the amount of power you have behind that ritual will startle you. And then you continue to do it and you call you again. Now, some of those spirits maybe you'll never work with again after those 60 days. Some of them, in most cases, will become allies of yours. And it should be that you keep them in your field of allies. You keep them as a spirit that you will call again throughout your life. And the goal is not to have 80 of these spirits. It is to have a small council of spirits that you can rely on for life. So it doesn't mean that you do 2 months with one spirit every 2 months for the rest of your life. But maybe you do 2 months with that spirit for 2 years. And at the end of that, you have your 12 disciples. You have your 12 spirits that you work with frequently, that you'll never need another spirit if you don't want to venture on beyond that. You have a council that works with you because of your level of dedication, daily, personal discipline and practice. And most people don't understand that. I watch these people on these chat rooms and all this Facebook bullshit and people saying like, I've summoned 35 demons this past year. Like, good for you, buddy. You accomplished fucking nothing. And, you know, it's not about Pokemon, collect them all. I know you guys have heard me talk about this. It is actually about forming an established relationship. That is why I've always said within our practice, it is the 4 C's: connect, convene, converse, commune, that builds the bridge of alliance. Your whole purpose of working with spirits is that I want to build a bridge of alliance with you and you with I. As I rise, you rise. We work together under mutual understanding. I wish to connect with you, to convene with you, converse with you, and to commune with you. I wish to be a part of your life as you are with mine. And you can only do that through repetition and through discipline. So I hope that resonates with you guys. I hope that makes it make sense. It's as simple as 10 minutes a day. And it can grow into something so much more beautiful. And eventually you'll hit your point. Like I said, I'm at 4 hours a day. I have no need to go beyond that. But you'll get to a point where it is so ingrained into your life that you couldn't imagine it any other way. My 2.5 hours in the morning is sacred. My half an hour at lunchtime is sacred. My hour before bed is sacred. And then you can get into further understandings as my cult does. If you fail yourself. You fail your spirits. You fail what you've been building on. You're constantly building that energy up. So if you fell for a day, then you have failed that system and you punish yourself for it. And by punishing yourself, you build more discipline. I fucked up and I dropped the ball. I am going to punish myself in a way that actually you'll find a love and hate for. You'll tell yourself, I don't want to go through this again, because I know that if I go through this again, it means I failed, and I don't want to fail, and I don't want to feel the pain, and I don't want to have to go through this. But at the same time, the pain helps you focus to deeper levels. It's hard to explain until you've gone through it, but it is there. And there should be those caveats that if I fail, there should be pain involved. People would say that's crazy. Why? If you're really beating yourself or whipping yourselves when you fail, yes. Why is that? Because if you just failed and said, oh shit, well, I'll just pick it up tomorrow, you're giving yourself that golden ticket to fail more often. I'm willing to fail every couple days then, because what's it matter? I feel really down on myself. But it's okay. No, when I tell you, if you're part of the cult, that if you fell tonight doing your mantras or your prayers, and tomorrow you have to whip yourself 300 times until you have welts on your back, until it hurts so bad that your flesh feels like it's peeling from your body, then you will say, well, fuck, I don't want to feel that every day. So you won't fail very much.
It's
It should be
accountability. It's accountability.
accountability. There should only be a couple times a year you fail. I'll give you 5. We'll say 5 times in 365 days you're allowed to fail. And if it becomes a repetition, if it's something that you tell me 3 times a month you fail, then we're going to adjust that accountability so that you become more accountable of your actions. To many, this is too extreme. To many, this is ridiculous. To many, this is a life that you wouldn't want to live. And to that, I say good, because it's not for you. You are a dabbler, or you are someone who does it from time to time. And once again, that is okay.
Totally fine.
There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a difference between talking the talk and walking the walk. And you have to make that conscious decision. Which one are you? Are you the person that knows you're a dabbler and you stay as a dabbler and you don't talk about being anything more than that? Great. Or do you fall into that category where you're talking a big game because you actually do it? Hopefully you're doing it not talking a big game, but are you talking a big game and actually doing it? Or are you one of the many out there that talk a big game and don't do shit? It's easy to tell people all these things you do that you don't do. But be accountable, because I promise you, if you actually do them, you'll be able to do the shit that you're telling everybody you're doing. Isn't that more fun? Like, if I tell you I do a spell tonight and you're dead tomorrow, wouldn't you want to actually be able to do that? Like, doesn't that hold more fucking weight to you if you say, oh shit, I can actually do this, instead of telling people I can and I can't, So, some food for thought, like I said. And I'll throw up a couple comments here. Trevor said, dang, I missed the first half. Hey guys. Hey Trevor. He said, what's the legality on going to a cemetery at night? Does it depend on the area? I'm going to read all of them. I'll read all of them, then we'll touch back on them. Arnold Schwarzenegger said he would imagine the specific muscles he was working on tearing apart, and as he worked out, so that his body could be rebuilt stronger. And lastly, where do you find a list of spirits and how do you go about selecting one to work on? I would say the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, absolutely. That is a real thing. If you focus on this muscle growing, getting huge, getting firm, I'm going to get big, and you start working out, and you compare times in your life where you just worked out, and then you do that and work out, you'll notice you do grow quicker. I can attest to that. You will grow much quicker.
And that
mind over matter.
That is for like anything. Yeah, that's for anything. Yes. That's literally like the manifestation. That is a glamour magic in itself. People think glamour magic is like the craft, like changing my hair color. That's not what glamour is. So yeah, 100% on that.
And to answer your question, Trevor, you are not supposed to really be in cemeteries at nighttime. But what I would say to you, Trevor, I will neither promote you doing it nor deter you from doing it. It is not my place to do so. But what I would say is, what other people don't know and is inconspicuous, I'm sure you could probably do without any issues. So take that as you will. Be respectful, because there's people that go out and do spells in the graveyard and they leave shit all over the graveyard and they fuck with headstones and things like that. I don't respect that in any type of possible way. You should go and respect the dead. You should work with the dead. If you choose to go into a graveyard at nighttime, that's fine. Do what you want to do. I'm not promoting it, like I said. But leave it as you found it. And if you found it in a way that could be repaired, then fix it. If you see trash in the graveyard, pick it up, because that's a magical act. People don't think about that, but if you go into the place of the dead, the land of the dead, the necropolis, and there's trash laying around, and you talk to the dead and say, I'm so sorry that these people put this trash here. I'm going to pick this up for you. I respect you. I hope that this pleases you. Something as simple as that is a magical act, because the thing is, there are spirits there. There are spirits watching you. If the spirits say, I'm watching this guy clean up our environment that our bodies are at, they're not going to afflict you. They're not going to cause problems with you very rarely. In fact, you've gained favor now. And if you were to be doing workings at said place, they might empower those rituals because they now see you as a worthy person to assist. So that's one way you could do those
100%.
workings. Spirit list, it's endless. It depends on what spirits do you want to work with. I mean, you could go through Enochian magic and work with, John Dee's spirits of angels. You could go through the Lemegeton, which is, the Ars Goetia, the work with the 72 famous infernal demons. You could work with the Dragon Rouge. You could work with Grimorum Virum, the Sworn Book of Honorius, the Armadale, the Arbitel. There's a lot of different old grimoires of spirit lists and conjurations. Or you could go off of new registry
entities.
Yeah, you can work with a lot of different entities. Don't feel like it has to be angels or demons. It can be elementals. It can be nature spirits. It can be ghosts of the human dead and non-human dead. It can be egregoric constructs that you create. That's what people don't understand is, and we're not going to get into it tonight because it is a very deep topic, but egregoric constructs are something that can be created and brought to life, and they're very real, and they can be as powerful as a lot of other spirits can. And you just have to know how to do it, and you got to hope that it doesn't run rampant on you, because then you could literally create a lion and then let it loose on yourself, and that sucks, right?
Doesn't end well.
Doesn't end well for you. But I would say that there's a lot of different spirits out there. You have to be careful, and I'm not saying that practitioners nowadays, modern practitioners that come up with all of a sudden out of nowhere spirit lists are invalid. Some of them might be very valid. They all have their place. Because even if they are spirits that they didn't truly come into contact with and they created, and they gave a sigil, and they gave a name, and they gave an incantation, when and how to call them, they are in essence creating an egregoric consciousness. And those can be called on as well. But you have to be careful when calling upon egregoric constructs made by modern practitioners, because you don't know what they put with that egregoric construct, for one, and you don't know the competency level of that practitioner, and it could lead you down a very bad place. What I mean by that is someone could create a spirit whose purpose is, once you call upon it, it drinks your life essence and drains you, makes you sick and ill, and all of that life essence is then given to the original creator of the egregoric construct. They put it out in a grimoire, and now 100 douchebags are out there fucking conjuring it, getting drained, and feeding the master sorcerer at the end of the day all those powers from that. So you have to be careful that you're like, I'm conjuring this spirit. No, you're killing yourself, and you're feeding this asshole that gave it to you. So it's probably good to work with historically proven spirits that have been around for a long time, rather than some book that popped up overnight from some guy you haven't heard of that somehow has a grimoire of 80 spirits that he somehow just came into contact with overnight, day one of his occult career.
Historically proven spirits, and also I will add into that, like, know your weight class. Know your weight class. Like, know what you're going up against. Know what you have in you to call certain spirits down. I know that, like, for me personally, I've worked with entities in the last, year that 6 years ago probably would have destroyed me if I had called them. So you have to be honest about where you are, and you have to be aware of what you're going into at all times, anytime you're working with any sort of entity, which is one of the reasons, like Crow was saying, with the egregoric concepts, like, you need to know, like, what the concept is, where it came from, who made it, what it is. You don't just want to be calling something. And yes, we are saying you literally create your own entity. I wouldn't necessarily say, like, from thin air. There's a lot more that goes into it than that, but come back on that episode, because we'll definitely be able to deep dive into that topic.
We definitely will, and I'll leave you with food for thought on that, Trevor. Lucifer, in a lot of ways, is an egregoric construct. Now, he is a specific egregoric concept because it comes from false translation, creating a very powerful ancient egregore, but he also is connected with other deities of other pantheons, such as Prometheus, such as Phosphorus, such as these other spirits that are the same type of archetype. So now you have this archetype blending in with an egregore construct, which created this being that people understand, at least in an Abrahamic sense, as Lucifer, that never actually existed. It was a mistranslation. People to this day still run around under the false understanding. If you understand it from a multi-dimensional lens, that Lucifer can be worked with as a archetype of other archetypes of, consciousness, then yes. But when you say like the fallen angel, oh, how you have fallen, great morning star, son of the dawn, Lucifer was the serpent in the Garden of Eden. No, he wasn't. Lucifer was the one who made the angels rebel. No, he wasn't. Lucifer was able to somehow, and I've heard weird claims, he was able to somehow get the Gregory angels to actually come down and do what they did, even though nowhere has it ever said that. And it was mind-boggling to me. No, he wasn't. Lucifer never was in the Bible. So people are going to say,
from a Judeo-Christian standpoint.
Yeah, they're going to say he was. Lucifer was. He was. No, he was the son of God. He was the most proud angel. I will sit on the throne above God. No. Nope. You're starting to mix John Milton's Paradise Lost with the Quran, with the Bible. And you're just taking pieces of all these things and saying that is what it said in the Bible. It never said that in the Bible. In the Bible, it simply said, oh, how you have fallen, great morning star, son of the dawn. Had nothing to do with an angel. Had nothing to do with this figure named Lucifer. But because people mistranslated it, they believed it, they started to fear it, some people started to love it. You had all these different emotions, these different people praying or, making things to banish this spirit away. You gave it more and more and more lore, history, and power to make a fucking monstrous, powerful spirit that essentially came out of thin air, but it's more than that.
And I think that you have to think about things like poppets, or many other workings, but we'll be specific with poppets. Breath is life, right? So you breathe life into something. When people are talking and analyzing and calling upon and fearing and banishing against and all of those things, that's all breath. They're giving life to these entities. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that's just
and we will talk a lot more. No, that was great. We're going to talk a lot more on all of these concepts. So we will, over time, folks, as I said, hopefully you enjoyed tonight's episode. We're going to be jumping off here in a minute. So any last minute questions or input, feel free to drop them quick. But we're going to be jumping off here in a second. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's episode. As time goes on, we will talk about archetypes, egregore constructs, and the different types of spirits out there. I think that could be a whole episode of different classifications of spirits. We're going to talk about different techniques of meditation. We're going to talk about different breath techniques. Like I said, our plan is to hit everything that we can hit along the way, and to try to do it in a way that isn't scattered necessarily, but that it can help you build up. You understand the 4 holistic principles of yourself. You understand what it's like to build a discipline and why it is needed. You start to implement that discipline. You start to create astral temples. You start to do prayers. You start to do different things that over time you'll look back on and say, okay, step by step, we learned these things. And I went from fumbling around in the dark to I'm pretty goddamn competent now in my own sense. And that's the point of the show. And we hope to give that to you over time. So if you like the show, click the like, share, follow, subscribe buttons. Share it around. Let us know what topics you want to hear us cover. It could be one that's coming up next. It could be one a year and a half from now. We don't know because, like I said, we want to go in a stepping stone order. But we will certainly mark it down and try to hit it as best as we can.
And I want to leave you with this. So your practice, you heard our practices, you heard the build of that. Keep these things in mind for people listening, for people that don't have a daily dedication. Here's some ideas. Mindful mornings, the stretching, the breath work, tarot or other divination, journaling, reverence of any entity, and meditation. Dream journals, track your dreams. That is a part of your practice. You get messages through your dreams. Your dreams are important. What they mean to you are important. Track your thoughts throughout the day. Keep a journal on hand. Keep track of those downloads. They very easily slip away when they start coming in. grounding, regular earthing habits, walking, salt, etc. Reading, like we have pressed, we read all the time. It's very, very important. Nighttime rituals of candles and meditation and journaling. And you need to remember that once you start the practices, once you start becoming more fluid, once you start doing more, the more that you do, the more times you flip the light switch on or you light the candle. And the brighter that light gets, the more attention you're going to receive as a spiritual entity among other spiritual entities. The more you will grow and the more attention you will receive. So just remember that once the light is on, it's on. Depends how bright you want to make it.
I think that's a perfect place to end. Think on that, guys. If you turn the light on, it stays on, but you are in control how bright it is. And if you are bright enough, just like a bug light, they will be drawn to the light. But if you are dark, they don't know you're there. If you're dark, it's because you don't have a powerful personal practice. You have barely any personal power stored. That's why your rituals don't work. That's why you're not bringing to fruition the things you want. That's why it seems like you're doing these things. You're like, nothing happens, because nothing's happening. But as you learn to store that personal power, things start to happen. As you start to brighten that light, the beings will come out and notice you. But make sure that's what you want, because once they notice you, they notice you. We hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. We appreciate you. And we'll catch you in 2 weeks, right here on Cuniculum Obscuritatis. Have a good night.
Have a great night, guys.